We have our first speaker, Abdullah Barbhuiya, and as the founder president of the Sylheti Archive, Research and Cultural Centre, and an alumnus of Aligarh Muslim University, Abdullah is a leading voice in the preservation of Sylheti heritage. Today, he will explore the archiving of Sylheti manuscripts and the powerful role young people play in revitalising minority languages. Can I please, before I introduce him, just ask that Lisa be ready for the next slot? So over to you, Abdullah.
Distinguished scholars, honored guest, member of Linguistic Collective Info, and my dear friends. On the International Mother's Language Day, declared by UNESCO, I feel deeply honored to stand before the STEAM academic platform. Today, we are not merely commemorating linguistic diversity; we are confronting the silent erosion of minority voices. Among those voices is Sylheti language, an Indo-Aryan language with its own historical script, Sylheti Nagari, and a rich manuscript traditions of Puthi literature, poetry, folklore, and community knowledge. For generations, this text shaped many imagination and cultural identity across the Surma and the Barak River of the Eastern Asia. Decades ago, many educated youths and scholars gave greater prestige to the Bengali and dismissed Sylheti as a village language. It's called a Gawa language, and it is seen informal, rural, and lacking literacy value. Today's, after years of struggle and community efforts, the narrative of changing young people are working on literature, manuscript, and cultural revival. However, while we approaching and field visiting to the elder village to village campaign and connecting the manuscripts of Sylheti manuscripts, and some express deep attachments to the reluctance of the Sylheti manuscript. However, and one elderly man stated that even if you place a knife on my throat, I will not give it. That means the statement reflects the emotional attachment of the Sylheti script. However, the resistance has still not completely disappeared, and few religious figures still publicly question the Sylheti script. While while we campaign to the village to village campaign for the manuscript collection again, we are not only collecting the manuscripts, we are collecting the oral traditions, how they learned the script, from where they have learned the script, and if someone has gifted these books, or how the tradition was and the culture way of recitation. This gave there we have documented the oral documented the oral way of, and we have collected nowadays in 16 manuscripts from the written and printed fewer of them, and we are still are there some we are of progress. So, however, I have making PPT for the presentation. I'd like to share on that. So, yeah, my topic was that the archiving Sylheti manuscript and the role of young people in revitalizing minority languages. So, what we have achieved and what we are working right now. For the introductions, the International Mother's Language Day institutionalized by UNESCO emphasizes linguistic diversity, multilingual education, and the discourse of Sylhet present of compelling case of linguistically distinct yet politically marginalized speech community. The archival crisis is Sylheti manuscript, structural cause behind skip decline, community-based preservation strategy, the central role of youth in language revitalization. A Sylheti language is a language or dialect, structural marginalization, distinct phonological system, lexical divergence from the standard Bengali, independent manuscript tradition, a unique writing system called Sylheti Nagari. Despite this feature, it has largely been categorized as a dialect, resulting in absence of formal academic recognition, no structural government funding, and lack of curriculum integrations, limited linguistic research. A collapse of Sylheti Nagari, script monopoly and standardization. For nearly 7 decades, Bengali script has dominated public administration and education domain in Barak Valley. This has created functional redundancy of Sylheti Nagari, intergenerational literacy disruption, script alienation among youth. Religious reforms and cultural narrative. Oral testimonies suggest that during the modern religious reforms movement, manuscript traditions were discouraged and commonly cited express Hajar Putti Puriya Ek Putti Swabnai. That means don't read the manuscripts, either you will go in the hell. Manuscripts were burned, and from that, for these narratives, the manuscripts were burned, thrown into the rivers, neglected with households, and skip erosion resulted in literacy discontinuity. Field managing manuscripts and memory. Through field-based archival intervention, Sylheti Archive Research and Cultural Center has collected 16 real Sylheti manuscripts, documented materials aged between 100 and 200 years, and more than 250 years also, recorded oral testimonies from the custodians. The elderly 60% continues to value manuscript, deeply emotional attachments remain strong, indicating that the crisis is not cultural rejection but institutional absence. A significant observation: youth struggle due to skipped unfamiliarity. Many report English literacy as easier than Bengali. Skipped complexity contributes to disengagement. This reflects not linguistic deficiency but educational structural ways. What SARC model, community-based archival institution, what we have done from the organization. The Sylheti Archive Research and Cultural Center adopts 4-pillar model: an archival preservation, with manuscript collecting and cataloging, digitalization initiative, development and digital Sylheti library, grassroots mobilization. Among the whom manuscript identification, village level engagement, wall writing campaign in Sylheti Nagari, in every of the city and village, distribution of awareness materials, and educational intervention. Workshop conducted in school and colleges, village literacy project, Horuta Purani to teach primary students of 1500 to 20 primary in every villages, skit familiarization among younger generation, and cultural documentation, traditional sports, folk songs, culinary heritage. Important these initiatives operate without institutional support or government funding, reflect community-driven preservation. However, digital outreach and awareness. We have reached millions of people through digital platform and word of mouth campaigns. That we are every day we are campaigning through social media and like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like this, and promote awareness among Sylheti language, culture, and Nagari manuscript globally. Engage local communities and diaspora through online and offline initiatives. Sylheti Nagari script education. We have taught Sylheti Nagari script approximately 1,200 primary students annually. From the last 2 years, we have successfully trained 2,400 students in the last 2 years, developed structural learning session, and revival traditional literacy. However, revival of traditional cultural practice. We have organizing a cultural program in authentic traditional format. From the last 100 year and 200 year, the people has to do this way. We are develop the program and revival relaxation of poetry, folk song, and Puthi literature. Encourage youth participation in preserving heritage and identity. Youth as an agent of revitalization. The theory emphasizes the intergeneration transmission and domain expansion of youth participants is crucial in skip literacy acquisition, digital archiving, AI assistant documentation, content production in minority languages, policy advocacy, and modern revitalization requires technological intergenerations. Without youth-led digital adoption, archival preservation alone cannot ensure vitality. Conclusion, we have to say that the Sylheti manuscript crisis is not merely about the endangered text. It reflects the broader dynamics of linguistic hierarchy, skip politics, institutional exclusions, and intergenerational disconnect. However, grassroots archival effort illustrate that revitalization is possible when community agency, youth participation, and digital innovation coverage. Archiving is not a nostalgia, it's an act of resistance against erasure. The future of minority language depends on transformation, preserving, and private sentiment.
No, I was just saying we have some time for a bit of a Q&A to ask some questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, okay. I'll take some questions if someone's there.
So I know that you touched on digital platforms. Do you think that this has had a successful approach, or what do you think could be done more to encourage youth to actively participate?
So yeah, because nowadays, yeah, youth, if you wants to encourage the engagement to get the knowledge give the knowledge to youth, so it's the best easy way to get for social media. So while we put some old traditional way of recitation of manuscript recitation and some words of collections we put to the social media. People like it, people enjoyed it, and people do share it. And from there, the information going through it, and the peoples are now engagement, and also many youths are messaging us to they also do some works on that related issues. They want to do some research project on that. And nowadays university students are now researching, working PhD thesis on that languages. And apart from this, we are on the because our language is almost declined of both in not in the cultural, socially, and traditionally. So we are uplifting, because if you wants to grow more and more, so you have to go stuck to the primary students, like class 4 or 5 students, class students. So to give the knowledge of language and culture about our language, so they can grow and make the generation more broad on it.
Perfect, amazing. Also, Danielle Sanabria Morales has a question asking if you could talk a little bit more about the wall writing campaign. They said it sounds very fascinating, so want you to expand.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Though our language is not merely recognized in the both the state of India and the Bangladesh, both the people are divided into both India and Bangladesh, and the most of the peoples, about I will say that 70% of the population, they don't know about the script, because of the last 70 years of colonial mindset of Bengali. I will say that. But nowadays, when we go, we approach the private schools and colleges, and government walls are there. So we write write to the wall the script. We write the scripts write on the wall, and the people come and see and take the photo of that, and they also write that these is the Sylheti scripts. The way we speak, our language have a own script and culture. We have write on the wall, and then we go for the script. So the people understand about the script, and many schools or colleges come to and take the photos, and they learn many more. We also distributed some leaflet and other document materials, so that students can get fast information about that. We have a script, we have a language, we have a culture, and we have a tradition, everything. So first we are giving the first knowledge about that. And from the scholar of the from the university side, we approach the youth to go for research on that, about on the topic of literature, culture, and the politics, and the decline of the language. So we on that process. So for the primary students, 1 to class private schools, we go for the wall writing on showcasing the paintings also. And secondly, for the university, we approve the students for research.
Amazing. Just one more question we have for you is what do you think the biggest challenges in getting the youth to actively participate in revitalisation and the preservation?
Yeah. Obviously, being a university student and I a professional worker, I also feel that my village are also not recognizing me while I started the programs of language, because they always say this is dialect language, this is why you are wasting the time for this. So for because my villagers, my own people, and I don't say for the rest of the people, but then I go for that, because I don't think, because I feel that we have everything, so we go for this language to approach the government, to approach the people. So I work on the progress. And nowadays, people are connecting. Even my family also appreciating. My villagers also appreciating that what we were. Even some people are inviting about for to give us university and college into the lecture, because you are continuing on the momentum of the working progress. For that people, and people also given me a nickname that you are not an Abdullah, you are a Sylheti boy. So, so in that case, that people are recognizing me. But it is first of all, it is hard to feel that if when you get the criticism, but you have to accept the criticism, and then you have to go for encourage it to the people. But you have to stick on the point that you have to go for the process. It's not a short term moment. It's a language revitalisation, not a short term moment that you quickly will get a job instead. But it's a long term moment, a long term vision for of 10 or 15 years. So I am on the way. We are still on the way to progress to get the recognition from the government.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Abdullah, for your insights. That was wonderful to hear more about that. That's all the questions we have. So thank you again. I'm going to move on to our next speaker. That's okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
everyone.
much.